Well, I think first of all, I mean, I'm sad like everybody else about residential schools that in fact were established by the Government of Canada, along with the support, of course, of the different Christian religions, including, of course, our Catholic faith. And I have to go back to the time of the baptism of the Grand Chief Henri Membertou on June 24th, 1610. And that was one of the earliest baptisms in this part of the world anyway. And he agreed to become a Catholic. And he told the French priests who were there, you have to learn Mi'kmaq. You have to come and teach our people about who Jesus is. And so because the early missionaries taught the indigenous people in this area, the Mi'kmaq and the Wolastoqiyik, that Christ himself was Indian. And that's in their catechisms. So bringing the cultural dimension. And then when they spoke, of course, about how Jesus is a person of peace, that kind of was the experience of our people right to about the mid-1700s. And that's when colonialization dug in. And unfortunately, that's when the different message of Jesus came about as well. But in terms of residential schools, there's only one in the Maritimes that was set up. That's in Shubenacadie, which was a Roman Catholic one. But even as early as 1791, there were two schools, industrial schools, they set up here in New Brunswick in Sussex. And the intent was the Anglican Church, who set them up, wanted to draw the indigenous people from the Catholic faith. Thankfully, that failed miserably, but still, I mean, the consequences of residential schools are still being deeply felt here in our province. Personally, no, and I'll tell you why. The idea was to foster the faith. You don't have to foster faith in schools. You can foster in communities and in gathering where indigenous people were. The difficulty that I see is the removal of the children with the full force of the law, and putting them into centers where they were denied their indigenous identity. That is the unfortunate damage that happened. So you're going to have very, very few success stories that come out of residential schools, and a lot of people, just the fact that they couldn't read or even speak English or French as well, the other language that was in our country, and they were denied their identity. That, I think, is the unfortunate damage that has happened of residential schools.